first things we discovered was that there's this circle with another circle on top of it, and the proportions are identical to the size of the Earth and the size of the moon.
How do you explain that? How do you explain this sacred geometry? I mean, one could think there was incredible intelligent design behind all of it, which I believe.
Well, there definitely is. Whoever created the universe was a single mind, because we could show, I can show clearly to anybody how every single thing in existence, at least on Earth anyway, and anything that we can see in the solar system, in the universe, is all based on sacred geometry. It's the same patterns over and over and over, created again and again and again. And even things that you would never believe were geometrical, like love and emotions and feelings, they're geometrical. It was Manfred Klein who was the one who figured that out. He's written up even in the Wall Street Journal that they can take somebody in one room and they can watch their electromagnetic field from another room and tell what they're feeling, and then they can convert that into a geometrical form that you hold into your hand. Everything, no matter whether it's seen or unseen, is geometrical. And mathematics themselves is not, many people think that mathematics is the basic or the core of the reality, but really it's not true. It's shape and proportion, and that's what creates the mathematics.
When you speak at workshops and seminars, what major issue do most people bring up to you? What's on their mind? Well,
they come to me mostly to learn about consciousness and how it works inside the body, and so that, to me, that is the most important thing to understand right now, and so we've taken many of the different understandings from all around the world and applied them into a single system so that we can understand how it all works, and you can truly increase your level of awareness of things. But on a really simple everyday life, they want to know exactly how to deal with the problems that they have in their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all human, and we all have families, and we have to make money, and we have to do all these things.
These are priorities.
Yeah, you have to. You can't just forget about that stuff. I mean, there's been times when I've gone off into the forest and just forgot about the world in order to understand things. But not, you can't do that. I can't do that now. I got 5 kids. I can't.
No, you can't do that.
And so again, in everything that I've learned, it really comes down to understanding how the energies move through your body, and so that you're able to conserve and create your own energy. There's a way where you can breathe through these energy fields that are around your body so that they begin to spin in 2 different directions. And when they do, this disc appears at the base of your chakra system, at the base of your spine, right close to it, and a sphere appears around your body. And this is called the Merkaba. In ancient Egypt, it was called the Merkaba.
Oh, this is what you've got in your book, Living in the Heart, right?
It's actually the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1 and 2, is where we first talked about that. That's one of the first books that came out. And but the Living in the Heart is part of it, because the brain is the generator that creates the Merkaba field. It's actually the left brain and the right brain rotating in opposite directions that creates this energy field that all of the ancient world knew and understood. And but that is only the external field. The internal fields have to do with the heart, and so you have 2 different consciousness parts in the body. In modern day life, we only think of the brain. We think the brain is the greatest thing that ever happened, but the heart is way older, and it is far more stronger, and it has more intelligence than the brain does. And I can actually show you this.
Okay.
When you look at conception, and you look at a human baby, it begins as a sphere, which is it's all geometrical too. It begins as a sphere, which is the ovum. And then we often think that it takes 1 sperm to go in there and fertilize the egg, but it actually takes either 10, 11, or 12 of them, making a pattern on there that allows the 11th 12th or 13th one to enter in. And then there begins, through mitosis, it divides into 2 cells, and then it divides into 4, and they're in a tetrahedron when they do that.
Yes.
And then they go into 8, and they form a star tetrahedron, which is also a cube. And then they keep progressing geometrically through this whole pattern until they get to 512 cells. And at that point, they form what is called a toroidal field. It's one of the unique energy fields of the universe, and everything in the universe is based on it. There's no exceptions. And that toroidal field, as it keeps growing, what it becomes is the human heart. And there's a place when you and I and everybody that's listening to this, there's a time in your life when you were a human heart and nothing else.
And nothing else.
You had no,
That's something.
You had no arms and legs and brain or anything. You were just a heart. And the heart started beating.
Beating away. Yeah.
And doctors for years have said, well, how can this be? There's no brain. There's no intelligence. And then it was HeartMath out of Stanford who discovered that there is a brain in the heart. It's small. It's only 40,000 cells. But it's brain cells, not heart cells.
And it keeps beating for years and years.
It keeps beating. And then at a point, after it's all developed, then the body comes out of the heart and forms the fetus, and then the heart is pulled into the chest cavity, and we see the familiar fetus that we're used to. But this shows, at least intuitively, that the heart is older and in one way more important than the brain.
That's a great analogy, too.
And you can go back into ancient Egypt, and when they would mummify a king or a pharaoh or somebody important, they would take all the organs out of the body, and they would make 4 clay jars, and they would put all the organs into those 4 clay jars except for 2, the brain and the heart. And the heart, they would put back in the body because they said it was essential. They couldn't move on to the other levels without it. What did they do with the brain? They threw it in the garbage can.
They got rid of it, yeah.
Because it was useless to them. And to understand that took me about 15 years.
That's pretty good. That is pretty... Are you saying that consciousness may originate from not just the brain, but primarily the heart?
Yes. This is what all the ancient teachings from the Vedas, from the Tibetans, from the Tibetan law, all over, this is what they understand, and it's their secret of their secrets, is that creation itself began in the heart. The outer world, according to all of these people, does not actually exist. It isn't there. There's nothing there. It's just pure consciousness, and it's external. It appears external to us, but it's really internal.
And you know what's amazing too? Simply, like Valentine's Day, it's directly related about the heart. Symbolism everywhere. The heart, wherever you go, it's the heart.
We remember on a level that we had when at the last pole shift 13,000 years ago, we had a big shock, and we dropped in consciousness. We lost our ability to protect ourselves. We lost our memory. We went back into being hairy barbarians. We had to learn fire all over again. And we had a huge shock. And this time it's going to be different. It's going to be much better. And even though we don't look like it, we're far more prepared this time. And people are going to be amazed.
Let's chat a little bit about this ET visitation you were talking about, and more about consciousness of the brain with our special guest tonight, Drunvalo Melchizedek, Serpent of Light, Beyond 2012. We'll be back in a moment, right here on Coast to Coast AM. So he could very well be right in the middle of this window. How long it goes, it's anybody's guess. Next hour, we'll take phone calls with our special guest, Drunvalo Melchizedek. We'll be back with more questions for him, though, on Coast to Coast AM. I got to find out a little bit more about this ET connection, Drunvalo. The visitations that I guess the Hopis have talked about and the Mayans have talked about as well, and even though you say they're here now, is there going to be a major type event where we all look to the skies like the movie Independence Day?
Well, I think it's going to be a little bit more out of beyond that kind of imagination. What I know is this, from speaking again with indigenous tribes all over the world, is they talk to them all the time, and they visit them all the time on a weekly basis.